One of the things I'm enjoying about preparing these devotionals is learning about people whose names are familiar, but are themselves largely a mystery to me. And at least one of the folks we remember this week falls into that category, although there's always more that can be said about all three. On Wednesday, August 12th, the Book of Common Worship dedicates memory to William Blake, the poet and artist that I immediately associate with the song Jerusalem. Emerson, Lake, and Palmer recorded that a long time ago. Anyway, there's much, much more to Blake's work, however. Blake was born November 28, 1757, in London. He went to school only until he was 10, and after that he was taught by his mother. His family were dissenters, but he was baptized in the Church of England. His father bought him prints of classical artwork and books that helped to shape his artistic style and temperament. Blake was apprenticed to an engraver and became himself a professional engraver. Blake considered himself a committed Christian, but he was never content with any church. He resisted dogmatic statements of required belief, and he was influenced by such characters as Emanuel Swedenborg. He had a close marriage to his wife Catherine, whom he taught to read and who helped to print some of his illuminated works. She also helped keep his spirits up through many difficult times. Blake illustrated works by Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley and others, including doing illustrations for Dante's Divine Comedy. The art critic Jonathan Jones has called William Blake the greatest artist Britain ever produced. And Blake said that the human imagination is the body of God. He was an avid reader of the Bible, although his views are probably ones that I would find troubling. One of his best-known works is a book called The Marriage of Heaven and Hell. The title alone I find troubling, but his poem, And Did Those Feet in Ancient Times, about the legend of the child Jesus visiting England, has led to that magnificent hymn, Jerusalem, which I love to sing. Now, this has been just enough to whet my appetite, and I want to know more about William Blake and to experience his work. Frankly, I find the work of the imaginative heretic to be enriching of my experience of God. Maybe you do too. Blake died on August 12, 1827. He was working on his illustrations for Dante, and he stopped in order to do a portrait of his wife, Catherine. Then he laid down his tools, sang some hymns and verses. He promised Catherine he would be with her always, and then he died. A lodger in the house who was present said that she had been present at the death, not of a man, but of a blessed angel. Thursday, August 13th, is dedicated to Florence Nightingale, remembered as the founder of modern nursing. She was born May 12, 1820, and she lived a long and fruitful life. She was born in Italy of a prosperous English family and then raised in England on their estates. At the age of 17, she experienced what she believed was a call from God to serve others, and so she determined to enter the field of nursing. Because of fierce opposition from her family, she delayed that course for several years, but she finally pursued what she believed to be her calling. Throughout her life, Nightingale traveled extensively, studying in various places and writing skillfully about the wonders of the places she saw. She came to prominence when serving in the Crimean War, when she organized care for wounded soldiers. She came to believe that the high casualty rates among British soldiers was due less to the severity of their wounds than to the low quality of the care they were receiving. Typhus, dysentery, cholera, and the like killed 10 times as many soldiers as did battle. And so she committed herself to professionalizing the practice of nursing, ultimately starting a nursing school at St. Thomas Hospital in London the first secular nursing school in the world. International Nurses' Day is observed on her birthday. Florence Nightingale was deeply devoted to Jesus Christ, but she had some unconventional views, many of which we would find appealing. She saw value in other religions. She thought that faith had to be manifested in works of care for others, and she was critical of the alliance between the Church of England and those social powers that oppressed the poor. Florence Nightingale wrote voluminously, including about theology and mysticism, as well as on the rights of women, and she died at the age of 90 on August 13th, 1910. Saturday, August 15th, is dedicated to Mary, the mother of Jesus. What can I say about Mary that you do not already know? Let me say that a lot of what is often said about Mary comes more from folklore and tradition than from the Bible. What we know of her from the Bible is that she was a woman of great dedication. She was willing to accept the calling of God to become the Savior's mother, despite the potential for social rejection and ultimately great emotional pain. Although she and her other children doubted Jesus for some time and tried to get him to give up this preaching racket and come home, she was with him as he was executed, and she became his follower. According to Luke, when the first apostles were gathered in the upper room on the day of Pentecost, Mary, the mother of Jesus, was among them. The reason many Christians observe August 15th as a day dedicated to Mary is because of Roman Catholic belief. They claim that Mary did not die as ordinary people do, but that at the end of her life she was taken bodily into heaven. That event they call the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin, and they celebrate it on August 15th. We Protestants do not need to follow all the traditions of Roman Catholics, but we should indeed honor Mary, the mother of Jesus, for the remarkable woman that she was, not simply because in her womb was joined the heavenly and the earthly, but also because of her own devotion and discipleship. As the Presbyterian poet Thomas John Carlyle wrote of her, "It may have been more meaningful for Mary to be her son's disciple than to be his mother."